All right, let's see. I hope the music isn't too loud, but I'm telling you, I just really needed to hear some Italian lounge music, and this song in particular is just like, oh, just rocks my world. Anyways, so here's my amendments, or the amendments I'm going to do for myself for the divisional breakdown, and the reason why I want to talk about it now is because it's going to have an impact on how I start dealing with what I want to do with, I guess, basically all the Austrian-controlled fronts. So that would be the San River, the Bug, and the Dniester. So here we go. Let's see if I can find the bits that I wrote down here. Yeah, so like I said, I don't want to just give the reasons why I want to use the same or similar mechanisms. And here are the two ones that I'm going to, the two sections or the two rule sections that I'm going to use to amend the divisional breakdown for myself. So the first one is going to be on supply, section 1913. And it says, units do not have their attack strengths reduced to supply length if the headquarters supplying the unit is in an adjacent hex. So I'm going to use that as my guide for the distance to when I want to do a divisional breakdown. That's what I'm going to use the guide for. So it doesn't have to be on the hex, not like recombination or anything like that. It's going to be, that's, what I'm saying is I don't think it's as maybe difficult to break up. Yet again, this is just me jumping off into Wonderland, not knowing things, but maybe it's easier to break up a division into brigades than grabbing fresh troops that are arriving from Lord knows where and giving them orders and assigning them to this, that, or the... I don't know. But that's what I'm going with. So it's not a big thing here, man. Like, I'm only going one hex difference. Anyways. And then the other section I'm using, and not the entire section, or not the entire part of this section, I stop and I'm like, okay, that's just enough for me to kind of give my rationale or where I'm going with it. It's section 23.2. It says recombination may only take place in the same hex as a headquarters of the same nationality of the recombining units. So I'm going to take those two bits and use them as my guide to amend section 27.1. And here's my new version that I'm going to use for my own things, and it's going to cause some issues here because it's going to slow things down, but it's like, well, tough. It's going to make me feel a lot more operationally realistic. I don't know if that's the case to say. It's also going to make me feel more in sync with the recombination rules and so on and so forth, and how important headquarters are. And it'll make me well, two things. It's yet again going to emphasize, push me towards this thing. Oh my god! And you should see what upstairs after I did my version 2 of the counters for getting prepared for Caparota, which is ages away. But I'm down now to just one matte finish counter for everything on the map, and the map is printed on matte paper. It's like, oh, this is just beyond awesome for a camera. It's like, yahoo. As well as no stacking, there's nothing. It's just like, I can see, I'm like, okay, boom, there's a whatever. Anyways, we'll get back to this. So here's my amended rules, I'm going to say, for section 27.1, which I'm going to use from now on in my creative play Der Weltkrieg. Is that the way to put it, I guess? And then, you know, when I do my other bits, it's going to be, you know, by the book. A division made, so here we go. That's, like I said, I'm incorporating, and now here's my amendment. A division may divide into component regiments or brigades at the beginning of the movement phase if it is in the same hex or an adjacent hex to the headquarters it is under the command of, and neither are in an enemy zone of control. That's it. That's my amendment. I don't think it's I don't think I'm blowing the game apart here. I think if anything it's suiting me and makes a lot of sense, and it's causing me right now a bit of a logistical headache. Tough. That's the way it should be. And like I said, it makes it feel much more in sync with recombination the way it is. And so this is why I'm bringing this up is it's coming down to, it's now getting to the point at this part here. I've realized for a while now, and I guess now it's like it's blaring signals. There's been some people have commented already before. I think Ken and Mike Anthony and so on and so forth have mentioned, holy smokes, there's some massive gaping holes between the armies. Like, what in the world's going on here? And, I was like, well, there's not a lot of, like, what do you want to do here for both sides? There's just nothing to go on here. However, now got to the point where things are kind of getting, especially if we're going to get into the preparation, the Central Powers and trying to get ready to isolate or surround armies, is both sides are pretty clued in. And now I'm, since the Central Powers are going, I've realized there's barely any supply or no supply on both sides, and both sides have pitiful amount of troops left. So with that in mind, it may sound a bit weird, but I don't think so, is I'm going to start thinning a combination, the Central Powers are going to start thinning their lines to plug up these holes, aka enemies popping in zones of control, and starting to use divisional breakdown to just plug these up, because on the flip side, it's like, well, I'm not that worried about any like a massive huge force coming towards me because we're both screwed. So that's the way I'm looking at it. So might as well try to get the jump on the Russians and start doing the break. But of course it's going to cause some issues now because I can't start breaking up people left, right, and center. I was starting to think, well, maybe it should be within the line of supply. And I'm like, you know what? Not really. Let's. I'm going to play it out this way for now. Maybe I should write this down as a note for later. Remember, this is off for me for role-playing Wonderland and still sticking with the historical bits. Jeepers jumping. I'm wondering if maybe I can do something like maybe I could take a chance, like for example, let's say I want to use it, I want to tie it in with supply length to a headquarters. I could say, well, if you want to start doing things like sending orders to get that division to break into 2 brigades, and you're, let's say, I don't know, 6 hexes away, so 2 more than an attack kind of thing. So maybe that I would do a die roll and reduce the odds of it actually getting through. But like I said, this is like often like I got to write. I should be right. Well, what am I saying? I should be writing this down. That's why I got this effing video as well. You stupid tit. That's why you did both. Anyways, that's what I'm starting to think about doing with the divisional breakdown and so on and so forth, is to plug up these little bits, these holes. For 2 reasons. One, I mean, obviously I don't want the Russians to be, the Central Powers don't want the Russians to be able to exploit them. And they've still got a fair amount of cavalry, I think, even though they lost 3 divisions. And on the flip side, this should help inhibit their movement when they're trying to hopefully and not working, trying to support some of their armies that are in jeopardy of being surrounded. Anyways, that's what I'm going with. We'll see what happens.